there's kind of three routes you can do, like an extended night school kind of route, which some folks do. If you're working professionally already, most schools are going to offer some kind of 1 year program that's also probably a night school, um, where it's kind of a professional MBA. And then in my case, the degree that USC offers that is a 2 year program is that international MBA. And I knew I wanted to do the 2 year program in order to get a corporate internship. Um, for those that I guess that aren't familiar with business school, the whole aim of that, in between the summer in between your 2 years, you go do probably a 10-week corporate internship, is basically a really long job interview. Um, you get paid, it's great. Like it helped pay for kind of the second half of grad school, at least some of the living expenses. But it's also a way for you to get a job and have a job through that second year, and you kind of know where you're going to go after you graduate. Um, so in my case, was able to go to Lowe's, which was kind of a target company even before I went to grad school. I kind of knew that the Charlotte, North Carolina area was a place I was interested in, and there's a handful of large companies that have presences there, but Lowe's is one of the bigger ones. Their corporate headquarters is just north of Charlotte. So got a chance to intern there, excuse me, and I like to think that it went pretty well because that's where I am now. But for me, that was a big factor. Regardless of the MBA program I went to, I wanted to go to one where it was a 2 year program that had that option to do a corporate internship.
Yeah. Do you what do you think for someone who's listening who's like, man, business school sounds tight. Like I want to go work for Lowe's now. What would you recommend to that person now that you've done it and now that you're kind of looking at it with hindsight 2020? What would you recommend someone should do to evaluate business schools so that they can like what should they be looking at? What should they be paying attention to so they can make an informed decision on where they want to go?
I would say shoot to go to the highest ranked business school that you can go to. Um, and the reason I say that is a high caliber MBA is worth its weight in gold. The peers and the classmates from West Point that I have that have gotten out and have gone to, we'll say, the Stanfords, the Harvards, the Sloans of the world. Uh, there's sort of the top like 7 or so business schools, and they're the schools you probably think of. They're Harvard, Stanford, Chicago, Sloan, which is at MIT, a handful of others. That you're going to come out of that program making well into the six-figure range. You're also going to work hard. Once you're in that kind of role, like you have to work to make that money, right? But if your goal is, I guess, to transition into, we'll say, a really good paying corporate job, the higher ranked school that you go to, is probably a general rule of thumb, is probably going to yield better results. In my case, I wasn't necessarily looking to get into one of those target industries that pays that kind of salary. I get paid comfortably. I live in a great house and live where I want to live and have a good lifestyle. But in my case, I guess I decided to go where I went for factors that maybe went beyond just the education itself. But the rankings really don't lie, is what I would offer, I guess, as a succinct answer to that question. If you can get into a top 7, great, do it. They're expensive. The GI Bill will cover some of them. What I would offer is that student loans in that case are probably justified because you're going to make enough money to pay those student loans off. Um, but a top 25 school is also really good. Um, there are programs outside of those sort of top 7 that are also worth their weight in gold. Um, I don't actually know where South Carolina is ranked. Um, the only one I kind of tracked was the international MBA program because that's the specific degree I went after. But um, it, wherever it's ranked, it was ranked high enough for me to get in to the job that I wanted to do. But um, I guess, yeah, as a general rule, I would say go to the business school that, is where you want to go to school. Like if you want to go to school in Texas, don't go to school in Minnesota. It's a very different place. But uh, try to, I guess, get as high up on that ranking list as you can, because employers understand what that ranking means, and in most cases, again, industry dependent, they're probably willing to pay a premium for some of those higher target schools. Um, yeah, I guess, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Nice. Yeah, the only other thing I would add to that I think that you did really well that I would encourage others to do is there are certain MBAs that do specialize in certain areas of business, and
Yeah,
so if you have a plan and like for example, if you think, man, I really want to work in startup land, like I want to be in a tech startup and make the next Snapchat, Stanford's a really good place to go do that. They
yes,
have a ridiculously deep design and startup community. And a lot of these Stanford professors are folks that have literally been successful startups. So I'm only saying that because I went to a Stanford program. So, like,
sure.
got them. There's my
No, but
plug.
I,
But
I
yeah,
definitely agree. Like there are schools that are very industry specific. Another example is Wharton, the University of Pennsylvania, top tier MBA program. If you want to go work in high finance, go work at Goldman Sachs, and all of their peers, go to Wharton. You got to get into Wharton, which is a trick, but that's, as a general rule, they're kind of a big finance school. So is Columbia. Um, you want to go work in management consulting, Harvard's a good bet. Um, but so are any of those other top tier firms. So um, yeah, I guess that would be yeah, that's a good additional sort of nugget, is know the industry you want to go to, and then pick a school that you know places well into those types of jobs. On the supply chain side, I guess I can speak about that a little bit more intelligently, since that's what I do. South Carolina does have a good program. University of Tennessee has a good program. Michigan State has a good program, and there's a handful of others. But if you're looking to get into sort of the supply chain world, those are, I guess, three good places to start, and your search can go on from there. But
that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for all this information. And
yeah,
yeah, I think the MBA route's really cool. Especially, I don't think a lot of people understand. Um, and like what you got, which is these business schools lead to internships, and those internships lead to jobs. And I think that in and of itself is very valuable in a piece of the business school paradigm that not a lot of people coming out of the military probably understand. So I think it's really
sure.
good to highlight that.